This week, a deadly shooting on Staten Island. Plus, a 72-year-old woman is kicked down an escalator in a subway station. And
kind of like a little bit worrisome.
Checks and packages go missing in multiple mailbox break-ins. Right now, Fox 5's Crime in the City. For our first story this week, we begin in NoHo, where an off-duty bouncer was shot and killed inside a popular bar over the weekend. They have now identified the victim, who sources say worked as a security guard at that bar, but wasn't working when he was killed. A terrifying situation. Good day's Briella Tomasetti live in NoHo this morning in the search for the suspects, or the suspect. Briella, good morning.
Dan and Rosanna, good morning. Police say at this point, nobody is in custody. Nobody is being questioned at this time. So as you may imagine, there are a lot of loose ends in this investigation. The shooter, as far as we know, ran off toward East Houston Street. And 2 days later, this Manhattan neighborhood is very much on edge. Police are looking for the man who shot and killed a 39-year-old bouncer outside a popular Manhattan bar over the weekend. Investigators say they received a 911 call for a man shot at Tom and Jerry's on Elizabeth Street just before 3:30 Saturday morning. The victim, later identified as Anton Albert of Staten Island, was shot twice in the chest and once in the stomach. He was rushed to Bellevue Hospital, where he died from his injuries.
Nobody should be being shot in the middle of NoHo or Soho. Like, it's just completely unacceptable.
Neighbors condemned the brazen attack. Police say the gunman began firing from the street as a crowd stood outside the watering hole once featured in the HBO series Girls. An NYPD spokesperson told the New York Post bullets smashed through a glass window and struck Albert, who was standing inside. Sources told Fox 5 he worked part-time at Tom and Jerry's as security, but was not on the clock at the time of the shooting.
To live in any big city, you have to be careful about where you're going, but at the end of the day, you would think you have neighborhoods where you can be safer in or not.
And according to the latest NYPD crime statistics, this is the first homicide and first shooting to happen here in the 9th precinct in 2025.
We now head to Staten Island, where a man who authorities were calling armed and dangerous was shot and killed by NYPD officers.
Developing news right now, police are investigating a police-involved shooting in the Charleston section of Staten Island. Here's what we know. Police say just around 5 o'clock this morning, cops responded to a call of a man with a gun inside a Jeep Wrangler on Veterans Road West. Police found a 55-year-old man with a gun and asked him to show his hands and drop the weapon. The man did not comply and pointed his weapon at the officers, who then fired back.
5 uniformed officers discharged their firearms. The male was struck numerous times. A Smith & Wesson .38 caliber revolver was recovered from the scene, as well as numerous shell casings and live ammunition. Our officers then performed life-saving measures on this male, and he was taken by EMS to Staten Island University North Hospital, where he was pronounced deceased.
2 officers were taken to the hospital for ringing in the ears. They are expected to be okay.
Up in Jackson Heights, a 72-year-old woman is recovering after being attacked at a busy subway station. Police say the suspect kicked her from behind as she was riding the escalator.
That attack believed to be random, and the suspect is still on the run tonight.
All right, Fox 5's Lisa Evers joins us live from the scene in Jackson Heights. Lisa, what's the latest tonight there?
Well, Steve and Natasha, right now that 72-year-old woman is recuperating after being kicked from behind down an escalator here at the 74th Street Roosevelt Avenue station. And in the Bronx, a 57-year-old man is beaten and slashed. These incidents come as the NYPD releases new numbers saying that crime at subway stations is down 15.1%. Now, the 911 call came about 11:22 this morning from the Prospect Avenue station in the Melrose section of the Bronx. A man on a southbound 2 train got into a dispute with a 57-year-old victim and allegedly punched him in the face, then slashed him. The man was treated at the scene by paramedics. Then in Jackson Heights at the very busy Roosevelt Avenue 74th Street station, police released these photos of the man they say kicked a 72-year-old woman from behind for no reason as she was going up the escalator about 11 Saturday night. She fell backwards and suffered bruises all over her body. Today, police officers flooded the station as part of the NYPD's ongoing subway safety strategy to hit hotspots with a visible presence. Here's what some riders told us.
Most take a bus all the time now. I know I take subway too, but I know the bus is, I feel, is more safe than the subway, you know? Because so many times they push people on the subway tracks.
You need to put more cops in the dangerous areas. That's it.
Now, police are asking anyone with information to call 1-800-577-TIPS. It's anonymous. You don't have to give your name. As for that 72-year-old woman, she is at Elmhurst Hospital, and we're told this afternoon, just a short time ago, that she is in stable condition.
Staying in Queens, we travel to Sunnyside. That's where a series of mailbox thefts has residents frustrated and on edge as police search for a suspect connected to multiple break-ins.
The check was supposed to be in the mail, but it's not, thanks to a man police say they want to talk to in connection with some mailbox robberies.
So they're happening in Queens. Fox 5's Kendall Green has the details.
NYPD is trying to get to the bottom of a burglary pattern in Queens, where this individual is spotted in 3 separate incidents stealing mail. 2 of the 3 burglaries involved stolen checkbooks and an envelope with checks inside. As police say, on February 5th, the man seen here forced his way into the front door of an apartment building near 51st and Skillman just after midnight and took a checkbook from the mailbox. They report he did the same thing at the same location on the 10th, just before 2:45 that morning, as well as a third time on the 22nd, around 1:30 that morning, before getting away.
It's kind of like a little bit worrisome.
You're going to solve it with evidence like what they have now. So they're just going to, increase patrol, maybe some undercovers.
This does happen quite often, but it's unfortunate. It's in the socioeconomically impoverished neighborhoods where you have individuals that are receiving Social Security checks and checks to that nature, disability, etc.
In an apartment lobby near the location, we found a few mailboxes, about 3, with cracked doors in the same place residents reported stolen mail.
We just had an incident. We got his photo, everything. We had a lady upstairs. She got 2 or 3 packages taken. I lost one a few months ago.
Now, in this same building, in the same lobby, just feet away, and this group of mailboxes of about 20, at least a quarter of them, fully accessible.
This is not a surprise for me because it happens in so many buildings around here too. A lot of people is tired about this situation.
Make sure that you have the appropriate locking mechanism on your mailbox to ensure that people cannot break into your mailbox.
As patience among residents in the building is growing thin.
They ain't doing nothing about it.
Meanwhile, the unsolved burglary patterns forcing some temporary adjustments until police get to the bottom of it.
Maybe like if it's like a very sensitive mail, I would like have it mailed to my workplace and not at my residence.
Down in Lower Manhattan, a former daycare owner in the Bronx has been sentenced to 45 years in prison after pleading guilty to several drug charges. The charges stem from the death of a 1-year-old boy who was exposed to fentanyl at the daycare.
Fox 5's Arthur Chien is live outside federal court in Lower Manhattan, where her sentence was handed down. Arthur.
Steve, Natasha, the woman's name is Gray Mendez. She was the woman who basically was the head of that Bronx daycare where all of this unfolded. She was just sentenced to 45 years in prison, as you said. Now, this is a case that horrified New Yorkers who learned of it as it unfolded. And in fact, it horrified anybody who heard about what happened at that daycare in the Bronx. Now, immediately following the sentencing, the parents of the 1-year-old boy who was killed spoke. Their heartbreak appeared to be as raw as when this all came to light 2 years ago. Their son, just 22 years old, Nicholas Dominici, died after he and 3 others were exposed to fentanyl. This according to court papers, which said the daycare that was entrusted with protecting them, the Vino Nino, actually was functioning as a secret stash house where fentanyl and heroin was prepared for distribution on a regular basis. Investigators even found a kilo-sized brick of fentanyl inside a closet of the daycare facility, in addition to other equipment used for drug smuggling. Now, Gray Mendez was accused of calling her husband multiple times, allegedly to clear the drugs, while waiting before calling 911, even as the 4 very young children were severely overdosing. And by the time help arrived, it was too late for Nicholas. Right after this sentencing, Nicholas's parents spoke in an emotional press conference, drawing a painful distinction between receiving justice in a court of law and receiving justice in life. To make sure we get it right, our own Stephanie Bertini translates for us.
Nicholas is not going to come back ever. In one way there was justice, and now I want divine justice. I'm waiting for her to pay. I wish Nicholas was coming back, but he's not.
Separately, Mendez's husband has already been sentenced also to 45 years in federal prison in connection with this case. One would hope that this allows Nicholas's family to start a new chapter, but hearing the pain in their voices today, it's hard to imagine that starting anytime soon.
We now leave the city for Yonkers, where the body of a 26-year-old woman who was reported missing earlier this week was found inside a duffel bag near the Sawmill River Parkway.
Fox 6's Richard G. Kovas is live in Yonkers with the very latest. Richard.
Natasha, Steve, it has been a long, frantic search to find 26-year-old Pamela Alcantara. Her family, we're told, even flew up from the Dominican Republic after reporting her missing on Sunday from her Bronx apartment. Today, their worst nightmare after police sources tell us a duffel bag tossed on the side of the Sawmill River Parkway here in Yonkers is, in fact, Pamela Alcantara. And sources also telling us tonight that her boyfriend is now in police custody and is being questioned. We'll show you video earlier of the NYPD along with Westchester County Police rushing to this area of the Sawmill by Palmer Road and Yonkers Avenue on the Yonkers-Bronx border this afternoon. That's where they discovered the body inside the bag. Alcantara was pronounced dead at the scene. The medical examiner will determine the cause of death, but sources tell us that Alcantara lived with her boyfriend at this building on Morris Avenue in the Bronx. After detectives gathered DNA evidence, Alcantara's boyfriend was arrested and is now in police custody. He's being questioned but has not been formally charged. Outside Alcantara's building, a small candlelight vigil was set up below missing posters that have been plastered all over their neighborhood.
I know it's terrible. No, a news like that is something terrible. The only thing you have to worry about the people is living around, because you never know who is who.
I'm shocked, honestly. That's crazy. I don't know.
Again, we are told that Alcantara's boyfriend, sources tell us that he is in police custody tonight. He is being questioned, but so far has not been charged. When we visited the building earlier this evening, the NYPD had blocked off the floor where Alcantara allegedly lived with her boyfriend. They have not entered the apartment as they await the warrant. Detectives will continue investigating.
And finally, we end in New Jersey, where police are searching for the suspect responsible for a series of smash-and-grab burglaries.
Take a look at this. That's the suspect, actually breaking into Chicken and Shawarma on Bloomfield Avenue in Montclair. It was one of 4 businesses in the township that had its doors damaged between last Friday and Sunday. In that incident, police say the man got away with around $200 from the cash register. On Sunday, they say that suspect struck again, this time at Marcel Bakery and Kitchen.
Them 2 minutes to get in and out. They went only for the safe. They didn't break anything. They didn't vandalize anything. I mean, it's my money, and the door cost me money, but it's kind of ridiculous to go to jail for $150.
Now, if you have any information, call Montclair Police.
That's this week's Crime in the City. Subscribe for more at youtube.com/Fox5NY.